Alright, so welcome back to Pen to Profit. This is module 2 of phase 5, and today we're gonna cover how you can create a relationship machine for your email engine. Now, there are two parts to the relationship machine. The first one is the weekly mails. This is the part that pretty much everyone has, and it's composed by those weekly mails that you send on an ongoing basis from 1 to 3 times a week, and there's no end date to that. You never stop sending them. You keep sending them on an ongoing basis every single week, week after week. So that's the weekly mail side of things, which is the part everyone has, pretty much everyone has. The second and most important part here of our relationship machine is the relationship building campaigns. Those are campaigns, which means they are sent during a set time frame. They have a beginning, they have an end. During that set frame, you can send from 5 to 7 emails. That's a sweet spot I usually recommend. And those are the emails people receive when they first join your email list. These relationship building campaigns, they are the entry point for every single subscriber you got. It doesn't matter if they're coming from cold traffic, if they're coming from organic, whatever they're coming from, every single entry point you have to your email list leads to one of these relationship building campaigns. So it means that people don't get the weekly mails right away. They only start getting the weekly mails once they go through the series. There's relationship building campaigns. It's a serialized narrative throughout 5 to 7 emails that welcome people in and indoctrinate them into your world, so that after it, they're ready to start receiving the weekly mails, and also they're ready to start receiving those little hooks that we have for the sales machine side of things, which we'll cover later on. But for now, you have to understand that every single person that joins your list is gonna go through one of these campaigns. And this is what makes the difference from having that very unidimensional approach to email marketing from having the multiple layer approach that we have to email marketing, that allows us to have way better open rates, to create more relationships, stronger relationships with our target audience, and as a result, make a lot more money on the long term, but also on the short term when we have those promotions. So with all of that being said, let's jump into it and let's see how to build one of those relationship building campaigns here. So first, let me start with the weekly mails. They're the easy part here. When you're sending those weekly mails, you're either using a hook to the sales campaigns, and if that's the case, you're gonna see that later on how to create those hooks for your weekly mails, or you're sending content, you're sending value. And the way I like to approach content here is I want to create content that lead people to insights. Basically, what that means is you want to create those little epiphany moments where you connect to things that people already know, but they didn't relate how those two things can work or connect together. And by connecting those two pieces of information, you create that insight, you create that epiphany moment where people go, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And that's what people judge as very valuable content. It's not just content that provides them with information, it's content that provides them with insights, it's content that provides them with those epiphany moments, and that's how we want to structure your content. There's no formula exactly how to do that. And do you remember what's the best way to create those insights? Is by using what we call the philosophical problem, the dualities. It's when we take people by the hand and say, are you experiencing this problem? And if you're experiencing this problem, this is probably how you're feeling, right? The internal problem. We're validating your internal problem. And then what do we do after we validate the internal problem? We pivot to the philosophical problem. And then we say, the reason you're experiencing this that you think is a problem, which is not actually a problem, is just a symptom of a deeper problem. The reason you're experiencing this is because of this deeper problem. It's because of the philosophical problem. It's because of this duality. And that duality creates conflict inside of them, and they seek to resolve this conflict. And the only way for them to solve this conflict is when we send an email inviting them for something, and then they're gonna be super high to accept that invitation to be part of this something that we're gonna create, whatever it is, an event, whatever it is, a sales video, whatever it is, we're gonna invite them to that. And once we do this invitation, they're gonna be super hyped and they're gonna be super responsive towards that invitation, because we have trained to do so by creating those inside moments. And the way we do that is by pivoting into the philosophical problem and making them aware of a problem that they weren't aware before. That's how we create those epiphany moments, and that's how you should approach creating content for your email list, creating valuable content. We're not selling anything. You're just creating those little epiphany moments to create the seeds that you need for when we have the sales machine side of things. that can take care of the sales for us. That's what we're doing here. Now let's talk about the relationship building series here. What most people fail to realize when they're writing emails is that the very first email they're writing, it's not the very first contact people are having with you. If they're receiving an email from you, it means they already got in contact with you before, whatever that is, through ads, through YouTube organically, through Instagram organically. They already know you, which means that when they read that first email, there's a frame that was already set beforehand, before that email was actually written or even delivered to them. There was a frame that was established when they opted into this email list. And it's very important for you to pay attention to that frame because it changes completely the type of results you're gonna get from your emails. So most people, they try to squeeze as much juice as possible from an opt-in page, for example, when they're delivering a lead magnet, and then they try to squeeze as much sales as possible on the very first email by trying to sell right away. And again, you already understand that that's the wrong approach, to try to sell right away, and that's gonna hurt you not only on the long term, but also on the short term. And the same thing happens to your opt-in page here, to your landing page that people register to your email list through. If you're just trying to squeeze as much juice from it without setting the right frame on it, that will have deep impacts later on down the line because you haven't set a proper frame. So the reason why people were getting to your mail list in the first place is not necessarily the right one, and also they're not expecting to receive the things there. So it's very important for you to understand that the mail, the relationship building campaigns, they are an extension of something that already happened before. They are an extension of your promotion, of your ads, of your landing pages, of your opt-in pages, of whatever you're offering there for them to register to your mail list. The relationship building campaign is an extension of that. So one, it has to match what you said there. It has to be congruent. And it's very important for you to set the right frame when people are registering in order for you to gather the best results possible out of this relationship building campaign. How do you do that on practice? Let me show you here. This is a classic opt-in page here. People click to save your spot, opt in with your email, phone number, and everything, and then they get to your email list. Now, after that, they get redirected to a page where there's a video that I explain why it is very important for them to open their emails, because I'm gonna be sending them an email and I have a very important message inside. That makes a huge difference, one, in open rates. That's one of the main reasons as to why I can get 65% email open rates on a very, very high scale, because the more you scale, the more people you get registering here, the lower your open rates are gonna be. That's a fact for everything in email marketing, copywriting, digital marketing in general. The higher the volume, the more people going through your funnel, the more people going through your email marketing, the lesser are going to be your conversion rates. Your conversion rates go down as you scale your campaign, as you get more people going through everything, just because you're talking to more broad people, to a more broad audience that doesn't necessarily share all the same pain points as your main audience. The more you grow, the more you expand, the harder it is to convert those people. So it's going to be the same here. Now, the thing is, even if that's the case here, I have hundreds of thousands of people seeing this page, literally. In fact, it's probably millions, because I have hundreds of thousands of people registering on this page, and probably that means that millions of people are actually landing on this page and seeing it. Now, even when that's the case, I still managed to get 65% open rates, and I'm going to show you later, 65% open rates on the mail that follows after people register here. Why is that? It's because of the frame I'm setting. It's because on the thank you page, the video says, I'm going to send you a very important message, and you have to open it in order for you to be part of this event. You have to open, otherwise your registration is not complete. I set this frame, I set the requirement, and I let them know that there's gonna be an email coming to their inbox and they have to open it. It's very important. So I'm setting that requirement right there. I'm making them aware of it. I'm creating that expectation for the email they're gonna receive. And then after that, after they see that video, they get redirected to this page where they have one step here to join the Telegram group, because the Telegram group works kind of like a mail marketing sequence here, more for just reminders than having complex narratives. And then on the mail, I'm going to have very complex narratives where I invite them into my word with my relationship building campaign. So I make it clear here again, you have to check your email. I'm going to send you an email with this subject line: the remote revolution is coming. I'm even telling them what's going to be the subject line. Why am I doing that? Because it's the same principle that you're going to see on the next phase when we talk about ads, that When you have an ad, you want to tell people what's going to happen after they click the ad. You want to show them the page they're going to be redirected to, because people are afraid of what they don't know. They are afraid of the unknown, and you want to remove that unknown as part of it by telling them exactly what's going to happen after. And here I'm doing that. I'm telling them, I have sent you an email with the subject, the remote revolution is coming, and it is essential that you open this email and confirm your registration. Meaning your registration is not confirmed yet. You have to confirm the registration on this email. And then here, I even give them an option to open their email directly from the page. And here, specifically on Gmail, we have something very interesting where when they click on this, it already opens the link searching for the subject line, the remote revolution is coming. So it doesn't just open their inbox. It opens their inbox with the search filter, the remote revolution is coming. And by doing so, they're going to open their email inbox with nothing else there. It's just going to be this email showing up, so they don't even have any distractions. All those little details, they make a huge difference on how many people open your emails. And then everything else that happens after on your relationship building campaigns, it's going to be to those people that open the email in the first place. So the more people you can get to open your email in the first place, the better is going to be the performance later on when you're trying to sell them through your emails. Cool? So this is very important. Now let's jump back and see how you can write a relationship building campaign and what does it take. So here in the relationship building campaign, what we're doing is we are inviting people into our world. We are showing them how we live our lives, and we are inviting them to be part of that. By doing so, we are creating a relationship with them. That's the purpose of the relationship building campaign. But also, by doing so, we're going to create a lot of authority for us. We're going to put ourselves in a position of authority, and we're going to put ourselves in a position of being the only person who can solve the problems they have. That's the job of the relationship building campaign here. And more importantly, by doing so, if we do a good job here, the sale becomes the next logical step. So whenever we present them with an offer later on, it's gonna be way easier for them to accept that offer because they have been indoctrinated to do so right here in our relationship building campaigns. So there are basically 4 building blocks to every relationship building campaigns. The first one is that it has to be built on top of an idea, on top of a theme. So for example, the relationship building campaign that I had for Remote Revolution, it was based on the 5 lessons that I learned that allow me to become a millionaire. I compile those lessons, and then I'm going to send you, in 5 days, I'm going to send you 5 lessons that led me to where I'm here today. I'm going to show you exactly the emails afterwards so you have an idea of how that works. But it's very important that you have a theme. It's almost like a TV series. There's a theme to that TV series, and you have to have a theme here. This relationship building campaign, it has to be built on top of an idea, and you have to think what that idea is. And by doing so, your relationship building capabilities are going to be way higher. It's going to be way more effective. Second, it's very important that this relationship building campaign has a start and has an end. Again, it is a campaign, which implies that it does has a start, it does has an end, it's during a specific time period. And that's very important because we want to indoctrinate people, and we want them to know that this is a series that they're going to go through, and at the end of it, they're going to achieve one specific result. And that's what we're doing here. Second, it has to have a character arc. The arc is basically the internal changes or the evolutions you're going to experience as a character, or the expert you're writing to is going to experience as a character, and that is going to create learning lessons for the reader who is reading that. And through that, you're also creating authority to say, I have been through this and then I learned this. I have been through this and then I learned this. And by doing so, you're telling your audience that they don't have to go through the same problems, through the same mistakes, because you have done so for them, and you're delivering as a mentor, you're delivering those experiences to them. That's a very important part of the relationship building series. From the start of it until the end, there has to be an arc of how you changed internally and how that's going to impact the people who are reading internally. And again, it sounds more complex than it actually is. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. It's actually very simple. And finally, it has to be serialized. What does that mean? It means that your campaign, your relationship building campaign, has to be delivered as a series, almost as if it is a TV series. So it's not everything delivered right away. When a TV series launches, you don't have all the episodes right away. You have to wait. And that's why TV series are so powerful and so engaging, because you have to wait between one episode and the next one. And at the end of it, what they do, they add a cliffhanger. They add this big, impactful thing that's about to happen, and then they end it right away at the moment of most tension, because they know if they do so, people are going to be crazy to know what's going to happen on the next episode. And you're creating this tension by doing that. And the reason why this is so powerful is that when people are waiting, they are thinking about you. Even when they are not reading your stuff, they are thinking about you. They are thinking about the next episode. They are thinking about what's going to be the resolution to this conflict. They have to find it out. And you're creating this anticipation. It's the same for romantic relationships if you think about it. People don't fall in love when they are with each other. They don't fall in love when they're talking to each other, when they're hanging out together. They fall in love in the absence of the other person. They fall in love when they're away, thinking about that person, thinking about their interactions, thinking about that conflict, the stories they're building, and what's going to be the resolution to that conflict. That's when you fall in love. The same principle applies here, and that's the same principle TV series take advantage of in order to create a lot of engagement and a lot of anticipation for the next episode. You have to wait until the next episode in order to figure out what's going to happen. And that's what makes it so powerful. That's what makes it so engaging, is that you have to wait. So it creates all this anticipation. And when it comes time to watch the episode or read your specific mail, people are going to be thrilled to do so. They're going to be hyped. And the experience is going to be 2, 3, 5, 10 times more impactful than if you just delivered everything to them right away. I'm sure you can think about one specific TV show where you watch everything on the go. All the episodes were launched already, so you can just watch everything. And how was that? Maybe a cool experience, but not nearly as powerful as when you're following a TV series while the episodes are being launched. It is just so more emotional. There's so much more impact there because all the anticipation that's created between seasons, between episodes, and that's how they create all this engagement. And we take advantage of the same principle here. And finally, let's take a look on how those relationship building campaigns look in practice now that you understand what's their purpose, how they are structured, and what you're trying to accomplish with them. Let's take a look at a practical example here from Remote Revolution, the same pages I was just showing you. Let's take a look at the narrative emails, the relationship building campaign that I wrote for that specific promotion. And now let's jump into my computer. All right, so here we are inside of Miro. And the reason I have my mails on Miro is not necessarily because I write them here, I don't, but I like to have them side by side so I can see how the story connects together and how one element leads to the other. And for me, it's just way better to have this overall view of all the sequence instead of having just the overall view of one email. I like to have them side by side. I think it works way better this way, and I recommend you do so when you're writing a relationship building campaign, because then you can see how one email interacts with the other way easier, and you can see how each episode leads to the next one. So let's take a look at what I'm doing here on the first email. Email number 1, the Remote Revolution is coming. Remember, this is the mail they receive right after they register on that page there for the event Remote Revolution. Hey, Iman here. I wanted to take a second to say hello and welcome you to the Remote Revolution. Seriously, on behalf of myself and the team, I wanted to know that we are truly excited that you decided to join us. So first thing I'm doing here is I'm congratulating them. I'm acknowledging the last action they took. That's very important in the marketing funnel. You always want to acknowledge and congratulate them on taking a step, on taking a decision. The last step they took was to register, so I'm congratulating them on register and letting them know how good of a decision that was. I highly recommend you always do that. Now, I know this is going to be an absolute game changer for your success no matter what stage you're in. Here's what you can expect from the Remote Revolution. So basically here I'm saying this is going to be a game changer. You really want to look forward to this. You really want to read these emails that you're going to be receiving, and then I'm setting the expectations here. Here's what you can expect from Remote Revolution. First, next few days are going to feel like Christmas. Here I'm just creating the hype for what I'm about to deliver now. Remote Revolution will take place from July 10th to 17th. I'm just reminding them of those dates because they're very, very important for the event. But as I started writing this welcome email, it got me thinking, how could I deliver the same value to first name on email marketing tools? You can always use the first name of the people on your email list to talk directly to them. So for example, if I received this email, it would read, how could I deliver the same value to Luis right away to get him properly warmed up for the event? And I had an idea. What if I took all the secrets that I shared during the launch and broke down the principles behind them, turning them into 5 lessons people need to understand before they can apply such secrets to their lives? So basically, I'm creating the theme here. I'm setting the idea. The theme of these emails are going to be this, the 5 lessons out of the secrets that I'm going to deliver in Remote Revolution. I'm going to deliver you the principles beforehand. So when comes time and you watch Remote Revolution, you can make the most out of those secrets. So let's get started. So then it would be like putting together in one single place a digest of lessons that no money can buy. And that's exactly what I did. Over the next 5 days, I'm going to share with you my 5 lessons to achieving financial success, and I'll send them directly here to your email. These 5 lessons will ensure you're just up to speed to make the most out of the event on July 10th. And I'll share them all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And you should learn something from every single one, from all 3. Now, before that, I have a question for you. Do you know what's the number one thing that stops people with a lot of potential from being successful? Think about the answer. I doubt you even get close, but give it a shot anyway. If you're anything like me, you get more benefit from the thought experiment than from the answer itself. So basically here, I'm creating anticipation for the lessons. I'm saying they're going to be very raw. You're going to see it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Of course, that creates curiosity, that creates anticipation. This is what I was doing so far. And then here, I'm going to open a loop. I'm going to open a cliffhanger for the next episode to connect the emails together. As I said, you should do. You should always think about emails as a serialized narrative, as episodes of a TV series. That's what we're doing here. I'm going to open a loop and I'm not going to close this loop, because what that do is it gets people thinking about me even when they're not reading this. They start to think, well, what's the answer to that question? I wonder if it's this. I wonder if it's that. I wonder when I'm going to receive the next email with the answer. So now, before I have a question for you, do you know what's the number one thing that stops people with a lot of potential from being successful? Think about the answer. I doubt you even get close, but give it a shot anyway. If you're anything like me, you get more benefit from the thought experiment than from the answer itself. I'll give you the answer in tomorrow's lesson. I know that these 5 lessons will be some of the best advice you'll be ever exposed to, and I know that they are going to rock your world. It will give you a new perspective inside about making money. Most importantly, they will build the foundation you need to experience the Remote Revolution in your own life when our event comes. Anyways, I'll explain the rest tomorrow. I have a meeting with my family office now to discuss something huge we are planning for episode 4 of Remote Revolution. I'll share more details with you once I'm allowed. Now I'm hopping to the meeting, then straight back to the gym to get my ass kicked by my boxing coach again. Talk soon, Iman Gazit. So basically, I'm bringing them to be part of my life here at this very end. I'm saying now I'm going to this meeting in the family office, then I'm going to get to the gym, and then going to train boxing, get my ass kicked again by my boxing coach. I'm adding all those elements so they can feel like they're part of my life. I'm opening the door to my world here, and I'm inviting them in. That's what I'm doing. And then I always like to have this PS here. This is the first video I have ever recorded from 5 years ago. Most people never get to see successful people before the success. It's a great experience to see that they were once just like you. In fact, I probably had way more pimples than you. So go watch right now. And then I have a link here. PPS, if you're asking yourself about the giveaway, because we're going to have a giveaway for this promotion, and I mentioned on the video that during the mail, I'm going to share more information about the giveaway. I'm telling them here. If you're asking yourself about our giveaway and how you can join, I'll share more about it soon in our Telegram group. So it's super important that you join it. If you're not in it already, you can join here. So I'm accomplished a second task here, which is in case people didn't join the Telegram group from the landing page, I'm telling them again to join the Telegram group here. So here I'm accomplishing a second task, which is people should have taken an action. If they didn't take that action yet, I'm telling them you need to take this action. It's the same with the lead magnet, for example. Majority of the people who request the lead magnet never download, never consume the lead magnet. So here I'm telling them you have to consume this, you have to do this, you have to join this, because that was the reason you joined this, you opted in the first place. So I'm just reminding them to take that action. And by doing so, especially on the first PS, what I'm really doing here is one, I'm indoctrinating them even further with my story, because I have those old videos I want them to see from 7 years ago when Iman was not successful yet. I want them to see that so they can see that there was an evolution and everything was real and it's definitely possible. But also, I'm training them to do what I tell them to do. Basically, I'm saying click on this link, and it's a very low risk link, which is a YouTube link. They know what's going to be there. They know it's going to lead to YouTube. So when I'm training them to do that, when I'm telling them to do that and click on a very low commitment type of link, which is a YouTube link, once they do that, they are signaling to themselves as that they trust me. And when I tell them to do something, they do it. And then when I say check out this product, they're going to check out this product. So I'm training them. I'm creating those micro commitments, because micro commitments lead to big commitments. That's what I'm doing here. It's very, very subtle, very nuanced, but very important. And then again, like there's nothing extremely deep that's going on here is just a narrative hyping up the 5 lessons that you're gonna see. So email number 2, they received the day after. Name, have you ever been lied to? So Luis, have you ever been lied to? Hey, Iman here, welcome back. Have you ever been lied to? It's the worst feeling in the world, even if it is a small lie. What I'm doing here, I'm verifying something they have experienced before. It goes back to the same principle that we always mention. You want to talk to them by verifying things they have experienced before, because by doing so, your message has internal coherence, so then they can check it for external validation, because it makes through the self-sealing logic cycle that we have talked about multiple times already, and that's what I'm doing here. You know why? Because it makes you feel dumb, and then what I'm doing, I'm validating their internal feeling. I'm validating their internal problem when they get lied to. I know I'm not old enough to give most people life advice, but I have been around the block, and I have seen shady individuals scam young college students out of their last time with dreams of striking it big as an online entrepreneur. There's a little grammatical error here. Striking it big as an online entrepreneur. There you go. I have seen countless Photoshop pictures and fake testimonials of people who claim to have made millions through a secret method who never actually earned any of it. I fell for my share of that crap when I first started, and luckily, I didn't get discouraged about the idea of working online before I ever made any money with it. Truth is, as a beginner, it's hard to navigate the world of online business and knowing who you can trust or cannot trust. And here what I'm doing is, I'm taking the pressure off of their shoulders. Again, when you can say that's not your fault, that's one of the most powerful things in marketing, and that's what I'm doing here. So before I share with you my secrets to success online, I need to do something. Tell you what to watch out for to avoid you from being wiped out or scammed before you even get started. Here, by doing so, we are setting ourselves apart from everyone else in our industry, and by doing so, that attracts people towards us, because we're saying we are not like them, we are not trying to scam you, we are actually trying to help you, and that creates that connection and makes us take that contrarian approach. And here, I'm actually caring for you, saying that please follow his advice, because then it's going to stop you from getting wiped out before you even make any money. When people read that, they go, oh, this guy actually cares about me. And that's a very different approach than most people take. They never have this different approach that I do care about you, and I'm taking this contrarian approach here by doing this. So here's what to watch out for. Be aware of any business opportunity that requires you to invest money up front in order to get started. There's 2 things that could happen in this situation. First, it could be a scam and someone is just trying to scam you out of your money. Second, it could be a complete legit business model that does work, but one which has a high likelihood of wiping you out as a beginner. Why? Because you don't have enough experience to navigate it, and the odds of you running out of money before you find a success with it is extremely high. So those are best avoided. Here, the for many is just wrong, it should be 2. 2, be aware of shiny objects. Every few months, a new once-in-a-lifetime opportunity appears. And within a few months, there are dozens of people selling you this as the best opportunity that is to make money online. And although they can be great opportunities, it takes time to learn them. Just like with any skill out there, you won't master it in a week. The problem with these shiny objects are, you spend months learning, and once you're finally a master at them, they're out of fashion already. They're old product. So if you're going to spend time learning something, make sure it's a skill that is based in timeless principles that won't get out of fashion anytime soon. Think in decades here. And finally, number 3, be aware of people who teach you something that haven't mastered themselves. Whatever their intention is. I say that because some people don't even have bad intentions with it. They genuinely believe that they're doing good by sharing their knowledge with the world. The problem is, most of them only made a few $1,000 with what they're teaching, which is great results by all means, but it's not enough to understand the small nuances of it. And we all know that the devil is in the details. And for those cases, you're always the one who pays the price, because you're gonna face roadblocks that those people don't teach how to solve. And then you're gonna get stuck running in circles while you bump your head against the wall trying to figure out everything you're on, which is the recipe for disaster when it comes to creating an online income. So with all of that being said, here's a few things I'll never do. Again, here I'm setting myself apart. I'm taking the contrarian approach and saying, I'll never do this. 1, I'll never recommend business models or side hustles that require you to invest thousands to get started. I'll always stick to the best opportunities to get started for free, especially if you're a beginner. 2, I'll only recommend business models and skills that are based on timeless principles. Sales, marketing, service-based businesses. Those are skills that will never get out of fashion. No arbitrage or underground once-in-a-lifetime methods. I don't want opportunity seekers. I want committed individuals. I'll never promote something I haven't mastered myself. That one cut there, let me just keep going here. I'll never promote something I haven't mastered myself. For every single skill or business model I promote, I have either made millions with it or paid my employees million for it, which is even more powerful. No one tested make 3,000 a day in 30 days method here. If that's what you're looking for, Remote Revolution is not the event for you. Again, taking the contrarian approach and going as far as saying, if that's what you're expecting, this is not the place for you, and I recommend you unsubscribe. By doing so, I'm repelling those type of people that I don't want to be part of this anyway, and by doing so, I'm also being even more attractive to the people who think like me. That's what I'm doing here. If that's what you're looking for, Remote Revolution is not the event for you, and you might as well just unsubscribe now. I am teaching any of that. Why? Because one, I value long-term sustainability over short-term gains. Two, it makes the whole online education industry that I'm very passionate about look bad. Three, it simply doesn't work. Respectfully, that is the truth. Sorry for the rant. Oh damn, I ran out of room to tell you the answer to yesterday's question about the number one thing that stops people with a lot of potential from succeeding. Can you wait till tomorrow for the answer? Well, you got to. I gotta get to the sauna now to sweat the stress out of my body after this rant. Talk soon, Iman Ghazi. Again, what we're doing here, we are keeping this loop going. We're creating anticipation for the next episode. We didn't close the loop that we opened on the first episode. I always recommend having at the very least one loop open in between episodes, so people are always waiting. You're always creating this anticipation for the next episode. And then let's take a look at email number 3 here, and you're gonna see what we're doing on email number 3. So email number 3, the secret answer I owe you. 6:36 p.m. exactly. You never forget a thing like that. I had just hopped into the tub in central London after finishing shooting some content for my second ever agency client at the time. So here, I'm starting in the email already at the point of highest tension. This is a concept they use a lot in Hollywood movies, where they just start the movie at the very big point of tension, and then they just show that scene for 30 seconds, 1 minute, and then they cut and show the backstory that led to you getting to that scene. I'm doing kind of the same here, but without the backstory. I'm just getting straight to the point of highest tension because that's what people are interested on, and I want to be super engaging with my emails. So I already start at the point of highest tension instead of building up to it. That works very well on email. It doesn't work on ads though, because on ads, you don't have enough time to be able to pull that off. That's why it's very important to know the differences between the ads, and you're going to learn that. I'm going to talk a lot about that on the next phase, but let's keep going here. 6:36 p.m. exactly. You never forget anything like that. I had just hopped into the tub in central London after finishing shooting some content for my second ever agency client at the time. It was one of those rainy London days. Those days, they're so cold and humid, you can see steam coming out of people's mouths when they breathe out. I remember looking at people's faces and trying to understand what they're going through. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking my time to describe the scene. That's kind of like what we do in movies, but in movies you do that with a camera. When people walk into a room, for example, and it shows all the room. That's what I'm doing here, but I'm doing that with words because I don't have the visual element here. So I have to take my time to build up the scene so people can really imagine that inside their heads and really put themselves into the situation with us there on the tub in London on the rainy day, very humid, seeing people breathing out and seeing that steam coming out of their mouths. I'm explaining all those little details. I'm describing, I'm setting up the scene here. And then I remember looking at people's faces and trying to understand what they were going through. Pain, frustration, despairingness. I could see that everyone there didn't really want to be there. I'm sure they all had dreams of making it big, living a great life, making great money, and sure as hell they were putting a lot of work for that to happen. But despite the dreams and the efforts, they were there, stuck. Slaving away, living the same boring day over and over, every single day. Again, here I'm describing the scene and I'm describing this mediocre life that people are living, and I'm trying to get people to put themselves in the position of those same people and see that that's not what they want in life. And here I'm going to say exactly that. You know what that made me feel? Disgusted, repulsed. I couldn't accept the thought of me having to spend my life away, having the same mediocre routine as everyone who was there. By saying that, the people who are reading, they go, yeah, me neither. I don't want that. That's not what I want for my life. So we think the same way. And if we think the same way, we experience reality in the very same way. So we're inside the same self-sealing logic bubble. So you were part of my world now. And that's when it really hit me. That day, I discovered the number one thing that stops people with a lot of potential from being successful. Every single person in that too had one thing in common. Not that they were smart, because they probably all were. Not that they weren't hard workers. I could tell they were. Not that they weren't capable. I was probably just as capable as them, if not less. After all, I was just a 17-year-old at this time. But they all have taken the one same decision to follow the conventional path. Every single person that took, no matter what they did for work, was, after all, following the same path. The one we have all been told to follow. Go to school, get good grades, get into good university, graduate, work a 9 to 5, live frugally and save your money so you can retire, then retire and live frugally with the rest that's left. Doesn't sound like a life I wanted to live. But the sad truth is, that's the life that 99% of the people out there live. The life that everyone on the tube that day were living too. They had chosen the conventional path. The result? Conventional results. After all, how could I expect something else? You can expect unconventional results by following the conventional path. And that was when I discovered the number one reason that stops individuals with a lot of potential from becoming successful. That was the day that I took the decision that completely changed the course of my life. The decision to renounce on the conventional path. That was the first day of the rest of my life. I will tell you exactly how I did that during Remote Revolution. And more importantly, how you can too. And hopefully, July 10th will be the first day of the rest of your life as well. Until then, we have 3 more lessons coming your way, and I'll see you tomorrow, and you learn X, whatever X is. I haven't finished this yet, but that's the idea. And then here, you see that I create all the story to get to the point that every single person there, they were following the conventional path. And they are getting conventional results out of it. After all, you cannot expect to get unconventional results if you're following the conventional path. So that was the big duality that I wanted to expose here, because I want to create this conflict inside people's head with the conventional path versus the unconventional, and getting them to see, getting them to realize that if they're following the conventional path, which they most likely are, they cannot expect unconventional results. They're gonna get conventional results out of the conventional path. And if they want unconventional results, they have to go to the unconventional path. And if they want to do so, there's a decision they have to take. I took the decision, and that decision was the thing that changed my life. And after that decision, that was the first day of the rest of my life. So I'm seeding the idea that they will have to take a decision on July 10th when they see the event, when they be part of the event or Remote Revolution, because I'm delivering them with the unconventional path, the unconventional way to get unconventional results. But at the end of the day, they have to take a decision. And then, of course, if I'm seeding this narrative that later on they have to take a decision, they are going to already have the stories created inside their own head as to why they must take a decision. So it makes my sale way, way easier. Even if they're reading this 30 days before I even make the sale, that's how powerful the relationship building sequence is. Remember that I told you that if you do things right here, the sale becomes the next logical step. That's what I'm doing here by saying that there's this duality. You have to be aware of it. You're probably following the conventional path as everyone else. And if you want unconventional results, there's a decision that you have to take. And then on July 10th, it will be the day for you to take the decision. That's what I'm doing here. And then, of course, it doesn't end here. As you saw, I haven't finished writing this yet. Next one, I'm gonna make the point that you just gotta put one step in front of the other and the path will become clear. But I'm gonna have another story that leads to that conclusion. I still don't know what the story is. I know that I want to start email this way. I didn't sacrifice everything you had for you to do this. Those were the words my mom said after I told her that I was dropping out. Not out of university, by the way, out of high school. And then I'm gonna somehow lead this story. I still don't know how. I'm just gonna find a way to lead this story into this idea that you just gotta put one step in front of the other and the path will become clear. And that, again, it's already a narrative that helps me on my event when I try to sell people, because majority of the objections are like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm not sure if you can do it. I'm not sure if the unconventional path is for me. So I'm going to create this narrative that you don't have to know the way. As long as you put one step up in front of the other, the path will become clear as you walk. So I'm already creating this narrative. That's what I'm doing here in my relationship building series. And by using those stories, by taking people back into my life and seeing the behind the scenes, they feel like they're almost a close friend of mine. And by being a close friend, we have this relationship and they really, really trust me. So when I tell them to do something, they're going to follow my advice. That's how powerful this relationship building series is. And that's pretty much all the relationship machine that we have in here. And as long as you have this, your emails are going to do extremely well, way, way better than all the other unidimensional approaches where Monday you send an email promoting something, Wednesday you send an email promoting something, Friday you send an email promoting something, and so on and so forth. Or even if you mix it up with content, this is very different. I'm indoctrinating people into my world before I ever sell them something. And you know what? When I do sell them something, since they're so bought into the mission here, into this narrative that I'm creating, when I sell them something, I can just sell them once and I'm gonna make way more money than the people who are selling every single day or every single week, multiple times a week. That's what you have to do. That's how you build relationships with your list and have very steady open rates, if not increasing open rates. So now, on the next module, I'm gonna cover how to create the sales machine side of things and then get the sales going on. Cool? I'll see you there.